Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. I can't say real estate anymore. I don't know what's going on. Welcome to the Real Estate Show, Traveling Roadshow Edition. We're going to look at some numbers, and I'm going to ask the question, are we at the bottom? Now, I kind of asked this a couple weeks ago, but as we're entering into fall, you're just going to read more and more that things are going to pick up. Here we go. We have hit the bottom. And really, how much does the bottom really matter? I mean, there was even a comment by Tina Tambor on the Cromford Market Report this week. Wasn't on that report. She was interviewed. And she said, you really aren't going to know where the actual bottom is until it's behind you. Just take 2010 for an example. Nobody in 2010 thought that that was as low as things were going to get when it comes to sales. But lo and behold, that was it. That's where the prices bottomed out. It was up from there. But during 2010, nobody wanted to touch it. Now, that's not the same with prices today. They have not plummeted like some have hoped. They have gone down. We're seeing asking prices come down considerably. That's a good thing for those of you looking to buy. It's a little hard for those of you selling. But then again, it's not really hard because people have a lot of equity right now. So I'm not seeing a lot of dire situations. Now, I was expecting a minimal spike in expireds this week of about 650. I just kind of picked that out of the hat. They're up about 850. I wasn't too far off, but by about 200 homes. Those are homes that they listed their homes. They gave it the old college try. That's 850 realtors that listed the home, put a sign up, paid for the marketing, put in untold amount of hours and didn't make a dime. And so the sellers said, well, we'll just take it off the market for now and we'll come back and play another day. Now, will we see a lot of back on market? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing a lot of back on market numbers. And when we also look at the number of contracts and stuff, I want to show you some things here. My mouse is kind of giving me a little fit here while I'm outside. This is pending listings here. Now, they're just right at last year. They're just barely above last year. And so a lot of the uptick in activity that people anticipate that they say, here we go. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but it's seasonal. And if you look here at listings under contract, same thing. We kind of went up past couple of weeks, saw some commentary that said, hey, things are getting better. Well, look where it's going now. It's going back down. Now, having said that, it's Labor Day weekend. And so active listings went down a little bit, went up. You're going to see it drop down this week. And I'm tracking it on my 7-day moving average. Boy, my mouse is working funny here. And here's that number right there. Now, here's something that I want to point out on this. That gold surface area there is new listings coming on board. See that big dip? That's Labor Day. It happens every holiday. Every dip you see in here is a holiday. So for the next 7 days, none of these numbers are really going to matter, except the black line. I bet people in my industry and friends saying, things are really picking up. And I go, they haven't changed. They haven't changed at all. I mean, if you look at that black line, look where it's at. It's right there, 2,600 to 2,700 to 2,600 to 2,700. If it's picking up, it's got to show up there. I don't make these numbers up. I pull them right off the MLS. I add them up every morning. I add up how many contracts we have, how many pending listings, how many contingencies. The mix kind of changes a little bit. But that number is 2,600. Now, the good news for sellers, I haven't seen it dip or stay below that at all. The only time I've seen it go down is on a holiday week. So there's your base right there, 2,600 to 2,700. We can count that as a base number of sales for our market. If we want things to crash, those numbers are going to have to invert. You're going to have to see a lot more listings out there than what we see at that 2,700 level of contracts. Right now, they're kind of getting gobbled up evenly. It's very balanced. I like this market. I like it from a seller's perspective because you will still find buyers if you're priced correctly. I don't mean bargain based on prices. Yes, people are going to shoot you really incredibly low offers. Why? Well, some people are actually getting them. I've seen some surprises out there. Someone had an original listing price of $599 and they sold it for $479. First thing that comes to mind was $599 was too high. If you look at the comps, it was priced way too high. 479, that probably should have been a good starting point. That's probably where they should have come in. But there's a lot of sellers going, 2021 pricing, let's go, let's hold it. We haven't gone down that much. They're seeing news stories that say that we're down 3 to 5%. Well, we are, but that doesn't mean you should price 10% higher than where we are. I'm seeing a lot of that. Now, the Cromford Market Index measures what I just talked about. You can see it here. This is a measurement of supply and demand. You can also see that starting to come up. Now, the reason that is climbing and not declining as an index is simply because we don't have as many new listings coming on board. Their expireds are pulling homes off the market, canceleds are pulling homes off the market. And again, talking about national news about how many cancels there are out there, that's not happening in Phoenix. We've been going between 6 and 800 a week, about 650 is a low and 850 is a high per week. It's been that number all year. So that number hasn't changed. So while there are spikes around the country in people canceling their transaction, we're not seeing that here. A canceled either happens because you couldn't meet the appraisal, you couldn't have a meeting of the minds between the buyer and the seller, or maybe the seller or the buyer couldn't qualify for the loan like they thought they could. Something came up. So the transaction got canceled. There's canceled, and then there's what do you want to call back on market? So the house some people cancel the listing just so they can look at that. I got a B right there. They cancel listing, come back with another agent. See that a lot. Fire that guy. He didn't get my house sold. Here's another indicator that maybe we just got a little bit of a summer lull here, and this is price changes, number of price cuts actually, and they've kind of plateaued here around 2,400, and they've kind of stayed there. I was kind of expecting them to go up at the end of the quarter, but they haven't. They're not going up. I don't expect to see more and more price cuts as we get towards the end of the year, because as we get closer and closer to the holidays, sales are going to not pick up. They will pick up September and October. For those of you thinking of listing, September, October is not a bad time to list, especially in the Phoenix market. The activity, it's not going to be brisk. It's not going to be dead. So if you price right, you're probably going to come out okay. You're probably going to find a buyer. People are looking, snowbirds are looking at coming down. People in general are just back out looking at homes because it's not 115 again. And so the business just naturally picks up. That's what I mean by seasonally. So we're going to see some of that. Waiting for prices to crash, I'm not seeing that either. Because of that, again, the difference between pricing, the number of new listings and number of new contracts. Now, there's chatter about FHA delinquencies are going to flood the market in September. Well, newsflash, it's September, and we're not seeing it. Will we see an uptick? Yes. These are the people that had homes and put their homes into forbearance. The rules are going to change. It's going to be a little bit tighter. It's not going to be as loose as it was back during the pandemic period. That sample size is, excuse me, not very big. It's not big enough to move the market. So again, it's just one of those numbers out there that people like to throw up and go, here it comes, here it comes. Well, here we are. Let's watch and see what happens. So I've been saying for a while, well, let's see what it looks like in September. And we are in September. So this is our actual numbers here on monthly average sales price. Now, monthly average sales price or median sales price, we can track whatever we want, come to the same conclusion. But you're not seeing a big downward trend in sales prices and monthly prices. You did see a big peak here in May of 22. Then they go, oh, we better raise interest rates. We better double them. And then the iBuyers dumped their homes. And a lot of people panicked and threw their homes on the market because they thought rates were going to continue to go. Remember here on 9%? We didn't see that. So we hit another peak here in March of 548. And then we have 524,000 today. So that's gone up a little bit. So it's not diving. And what really drove the market? Good afternoon, the bug guys here. So he's looking down here and going, what's this guy doing with the computer? Here's what drove it, folks. I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest, and everybody's blaming the house prices out here on California. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? California can't affect the entire market. You could see here that our money supply, because of the pandemic, shot through the roof. Money got injected into the system. You had too much money chasing too few goods. that money is still out there. That's why inflation is not coming down. That's why the market is tending to stay kind of flat to where it is. Now, up above me here, right above my head's a QR code. You can scan and look at that and request your own zip code market report. And as usual, if you have any questions, shoot me an email at rick@rickhelps.com. Take care.